Greetings once again, people, and welcome to yet another episode of my voice Monstrosities and Devilish Designs. Today's been a little bit of an interesting day because I've been basically putting a lot more effort and checking out a lot more of what exactly modifications we've been having in that period of time. I'm in like September of 1996. For the longest time, we've been checking out maps, all that other content, and we really haven't been expanded with any real modifications. So, needless to say, this provides a little bit of variety after so long, and allows us to see something a little bit different than what we're kind of getting used to. We were starting to get into a bit of a rut, so this is kind of giving us something a little bit different to do. Anyway, this is made by Steve C. Clark, which you would think would actually mean Notlob's, who is also known as Steve Clark. He made Notlob's Residence. Now, the thing is, that's not the same Steve Clark. That Steve Clark has an E at the end of his name. This Steve Clark does not. So, two totally different Steve Clarks, but both people are named Steve Clark. Yeah, that isn't confusing at all. But yeah, this one was made on September 20th of 1996. Yeah, he basically looted some ideas from the Lava Gun patch by Jonathan Abram. I definitely recognize that one. Nothing too fancy there. Anyway, this is basically known as Monster Evasion. And this is basically made for a single player, unless you have Monsters to Deathmatch. Which is rather interesting because we haven't seen many modifications generally made for single player. Generally, whenever they make modifications, it's only for the deathmatch experience. Being a single player based person really means you're a second class citizen in Quake. So, seeing something like this is rather welcoming. It's definitely nice to check it out. Anyway, ever want to pump a double load of buckshot into the back of a fleeing grunt? Or watch your forces scatter as a grenade comes bouncing their way? Now you can! Since this is my first attempt to enrich the behavior of Quake's monsters, it gives them some evasion capacity, which currently activates when a grenade lands nearby, or when their health has been reduced to 20 or less. In such a case, a monster will attempt to flee the threat. It can enact minor course corrections toward this end. Once it comes solidly up against a barrier, it will return to the fray. In Strafer mode, if it's a Grunt, Enforcer, Shambler, or Hell Knight. Ogres will behave substantially differently, insofar as they'll not run over their own grenades nearly as often. Yeah, so needless to say, a lot of this is basically the fleeing mechanics, which I'm not too sure about that. That sounds kind of worse for Quake. This would be good for something like Thief, but you don't want enemies running from you. Yeah, that kind of just ends up being more of an annoyance more than something that actually would be fun in my opinion. Anyway, let's load this thing up and see what exactly we're dealing with here and what exactly like the AI is kind of like nowadays. Because I'm kind of curious about this and how it kind of behaves. As I said, I'm kind of skeptical, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and I'll see what exactly it offers. Because it's different. And difference is interesting. Anyway, let's load this thing up. Let's see here. Hang on, Grunt. I shot him once. Now will he run away? Yes, he will. Look at that. The Grunt's running away. They hits the wall and he decides to fight back. Definitely different. But one, it's kind of a useless thing in Quake's tight corridors. Like, they don't really have many areas to go. Yeah, they're going to just run like a few feet before they turn around and try killing you. So at that point, it's kind of pointless. And even if it wasn't, fleeing mechanics really don't help when the whole game is about action and fighting enemies. Yeah, if this was Thief, it would make sense. Here, it does not. Having fleeing enemies just kind of becomes an annoyance more than anything. Let's have the next best thing. Let's go to fleeing shamblers. Yes. We've had Seeker Shamblers, now we'll have Fleeing Shamblers. Let's see this in action. Run, little piggy. Wait, he didn't really run, did he? Could you run? Are you gonna run or are you just gonna try and explode on me? He's probably just gonna try and explode on me. Yeah. So I'm not sure if Shamblers actually do run away. Didn't seem like he wanted to run away. Yeah, he just kept trying to murder me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Shamblers don't actually run away, which is a shame because he said that Shamblers would, like, you know, return to the fray and all that, so it suggested that Shamblers were running away and going to fight me again. That was the whole purpose of this modification. What's the point if you don't have Shamblers running away from you like little cowards? You know, 10-foot-tall Shamblers running from you. That's really the entire point of some modification like this. You gonna run? No, he doesn't run either. Oh, look, there he is. He has to have very little health, but there he is. And yeah, once again, it really doesn't do much. It's a little additional thing, I guess, but it really does not add much to the experience. And it just feels more like the AI have a bad pathfinding and just running around all of creation. Like I said, it's different, but not really that interesting. Anyway, as said, grunts do not run over their own grenades. That might actually be more of an interesting mechanic. And more useful, I guess you could say. Since, after all, that is kind of a problem. Though, one big issue is that really that might work better on, like, hard mode or something. In nightmare mode, because grunts are, ogres are essentially like sentry towers and how they behave, it really wouldn't work too well. Like, you have to really go to, like, skill 2 for this really to work. Because in skill 3, as I said, they're just going to spam endless grenades from one location. So that really doesn't change their behavior. So once again, not really a thing for the server. Interesting. But yeah, as you see, the ogre runs back. He doesn't run into his grenades anymore. So, I guess that's a bit better. Especially if you're playing on skill 2 or something instead of nightmare mode. But as said, I always live on nightmare mode. I personally believe in, like, nightmare mode over hard modes. Personally, because you end up more on flat plains with ogres, and you have shamblers that attack you double fast. Various reasons. But yeah, I'm of the party that feels nightmare is better than hard mode. And more challenging than hard mode. Hard mode really doesn't have an additional challenge like people say, in my opinion. So needless to say, that is that. The other thing is now Shell Rats, or Vores. Let's see here. Where's an easy Shell Rat? All I can think of is the E4M sets. That's really the only level I can think of that really has a quick Vor. Yeah, Vores aren't really a quick enemy to fight, are they? Really kill some of these guys? Don't maybe I just want to kill you. I just want to kill you. I am killing you. I am killing you. Yes, just keep saying that. Eventually it'll be true. Oh, God! Yep, that's basically it. See that thing he basically threw? He throws basically smoking, Holman, splashing lava balls instead of Holman missile spikes. It makes for a quieter, but I feel more visually appealing combat. You know, if you want a quieter experience. Honestly, I'm not too sure about that because it feels like, yeah, it's more annoying to have these weird particles everywhere. What I'm not sure about the particles when you have, like, a massive area. But, yeah, it doesn't really change things too much. It just looks more annoying. Like, I guess it's not too different. You just have lava balls instead of, exploding balls. But honestly, like I said, it's really not that different, and the particles feel like they're almost too large. Yeah, I don't really see much of a difference or a real big use for this one. And yeah, really, this is kind of an optional little part of it. It's really a side thing, if you will. So really not something I would say either. So yeah, unlike the last modification, which I did find at least the ogre having like useful parts to it with the water-based modification. It could see in water, which I found was useful. This one, I'm not really seeing anything that's that useful for the server. Fleeing mechanics, interesting. It's different. But at the same time, I feel like, yeah, the way it works, it looks more like it's just having trouble with its AI and roaming around. And it's so quick and so useless that, yeah, I honestly feel like it'd be a waste of time even included. In fact, it would probably be a waste of code that would end up bogging things down unnecessarily. So, needless to say, not something I'm really going to bother including. Ogres ran over their own grenades. That could be something useful if I did something more than play a Nightmare mode. But since I always prioritize and always live on Nightmare mode, once again, it really is not something I'm going to be using anytime soon. And Vor's doing the different lava ball based things. It, like I said, it's different. It looks a little different. Honestly, I don't exactly agree about it being visually appealing. I think it looks very spammy, the big giant explosions. And honestly, it doesn't make as much sense to have it squishing when it hits walls. That just doesn't really have that threatening appeal that the explosions had. Hurling explosive balls of death felt a lot better than hurling little squishy balls of explosive lava. Yeah, it just doesn't have the same feel to me. So, needless to say, none of it's really that interesting. It's different, but not really stuff I'm going to be using anywhere. As said, all the QC files are commented. Just search for SEC. Everywhere it appears, it marks my own comments. Blah, 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 blah. If you know any ideas for improvements or bugs, I hope to further develop the Monstrosities. If you want to improve upon it or include your own mods, feel free. I would enjoy hearing about it. Okay, so let's see here. Then he goes on to tell you about different things in the modification, like self.crit is the value below which health must drop before a monster will evade its attacker. If you want other monsters besides those included to evade you, you just need to do it in different QC files, blah, 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 blah. You can make anything evade attackers. However, Vors and zombies are really too slow for this to look good, and spawns seem to outright ignore this code. Also, if you feel like this mod makes the game too easy, you can of course simply increase each monster's original health by an equal amount to the self-crit. So, yeah, that basically just means make everything even more of a bullet sponge. That is not really a good answer either. No. Honestly, I'd just rather not include this thing to begin with, and yeah, it makes it a little bit easier to shoot things in the back, and at the same time, it's useless. So, needless to say, not really a big fan, but at least it's something different. I can give it that. It's definitely not another pipe bomb mod, and I'm grateful for that one. Seeing enemies flee from me is not something I've seen anywhere else, so I could definitely say that at least we're seeing some original ideas here. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. It's been an adventure, and I guess I'll be seeing you all, well, next time.